It is a real pleasure to have 5 guest artists this evening. I feel like this month was 237 days long so far. So having this happen this evening was really something for me to look forward to. I enjoy poetry. I don't write it. I don't think it, but I love to hear it. So our first artist, poet, guest is Karen Faris. Karen works across the artistic spectrum and creates in order to escape the constraints of gravity. Whether she is writing, making visual art, fabric, or performance art, words remain her constant in this changing world. As she argues for a better, kinder, more compassionate planet, Florine, Oh Florine, is a work of collage and is part of a collection created during the pandemic. It is exhibited at New Movement Yoga Art Gallery. Please welcome Karen this evening.
Thank you. Okay, so Florine, Oh Florine, is kind of a complete body of work. There is this chapbook and a whole series of collages. So these two. Okay, so who knows Florine Stettheimer? Anyone? She was born in 1871 and was born in Rochester. She and her family traveled through Europe, and then World War I brought them back to the States, and they settled in New York City, where she and her sister held literary salons and artistic salons with the likes of all the luminaries of the day. Marcel Duchamp, George O'Keeffe, Gertrude Stein, they were all there. They're all in the art history books. But you don't know her name. And so when I discovered her, it set me thinking about history and how we receive it as fragments. Because she did all kinds of artwork. And so collage, I created these collage because collages are also fragments. And so they reveal things, they hide things. You can see there are words. It's hard because there's a wire here and I don't want to trip over it. So there are words on this one. This one on my right is the original, and then it's printed on fabric. It's printed on a large piece because it creates air and space around different things, and I can change the light levels, and you can see how it gives it texture on the fabric. So at the same time, I created this poetry and the collages, everything started to come together. And I should tell you that there is a time travel conceit. COVID opened up a time-space hole that this poet could talk to Florine, and they are over a century apart. And then because I like layers, when I had an installation, I created a conceit on top of a conceit, where there was a curator of this art, Karen Faris, Department of Art, Historical Inequities on the Planet Earth. Is it coming through okay? Yeah? And so what it is this person is from the distant future, and they have found this art. And so for the poetry, I have curator's notes on top of each piece, which gives you an anthropological look at the piece. So I'm going to read you one. Curator's notes. A version of this first letter was published as part of the April 25th Aduna literary blog as the lost mail of Florine Stettheimer. This famous literary journal is what brought the poet's work to the attention of the historical inequities on the planet Earth's Department of Art. Now this mixes all kinds of fact and fiction. Aduna is a real literary journal, and this piece was published in it. So the piece goes like this. Also, you should know that Florine Stettheimer had a lot of gender fluidity in her. She was avant-garde, ahead of her time, and I'm going to say a feminist. I don't know that that would have been a word that she would have used, but it goes like this. My dearest Florine, nothing has changed, my dear. The female artists, you see it right there, don't you, are still required to be female versions of the male versions of the artist, and therefore derivative from the get-go. Nothing has changed, my dearest, and nothing will as a new Supreme Court appointment looms. I should have begun there at appointments, but I'm always late, and introductions have always been about the beginning, and we are so well past that. The female artist. Who, pray, wants to be that, with its tediousness of being adored, of having to be adored, of having to be willing to be adored, to ignore the body as a primary source of all creativity, of all life, and out of this chaos, create a wealth of experience itself? But no. This would be messy and bloody, and so bloody rich for women, and no one really wants to know anything about this body of experience, which is really waxing and waning, some say mostly complaining. Everyone is a critic, my darling. It is with this tedium in mind that I write to you today, to know how you survived it, and how you did not go mad and run in front of the train and be considered one more train wreck in the long history of mechanical things. Ms. Steinheimer, how did you survive this constant clickety-clackety, clackety mess? So that is the opening of that. Thank you. So I'm just going to go into the next poem because it gives you more of the setup of the whole chapbook and the whole experience of this, because everything is woven together. The words, the collage, there was a whole series of them. And
did they all evolve out of this work?
it was all simultaneous, you know, like it just, the words were informing the art was informing the words. You can see that my dearest Florine at the top of the fabric right there, because the size allows you to do it. There's lace in there, there's tissue paper, which is kind of shredded a little bit, and that gives it the look of deterioration, of time flying apart, being part of the space-time portal.
Karen, would you mind if we piece to the left, is that a photograph of the larger piece?
The piece to the, yes.
The picture.
So the collage, and then I photographed the collage and had it made on the velvet panel, right? So, but when I do that, I change the light levels, and things recede or come forward, just like in history, right? Everything is changed depending on the view.
If we, well, how would you feel if we passed the photograph around?
It's a collage.
Collage.
You can, yeah, sure, yeah, go for it. Yes, that's the original, and as you can see, so another reason why I photograph it and make it larger is because these are very dense. There's no space in them, and when you make them large, the details change, and they become more textured. Like you can see the lace and the tissue paper on the larger one, which is not quite as apparent on the original collage. It's all there, but it needs more space to breathe.
Is that the largest version that you have done?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever reduce it?
Do I ever make it smaller? That's an interesting question. No.
That would change it again.
It would, and I don't know that I would want it compressed further because really I want to give it the air it needs to have. But yeah, it would be completely different. And I want people to know that there are words there, like, you know, especially women's words, right? Because our voices have been hidden. And all you get are fragments. You don't get the full story because it had no, you know, let's call it value, right?
Excuse me, there was a question in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I did not hear where you are from.
Where am I from? Right now I'm from Rochester. Yeah. Okay, so the second one. I'm only going to do two because I'll be out of time. This is the curator's note. To definitively date these letters is impossible given the constraints of time-space variations. Some were found stuffed into various objects, some in the poet's time, and some in Stettheimer's mansion. So when I had the installation, I did that. I took the letters and I stuffed them in shoes, and I made use of the floor space and turned it into something else. Those things are gone because it's temporary. This one came out of a drawer overflowing with pandemic masks. It's quite possible the poet was hoarding due to shortages of staples like toilet paper and peanut butter. For the first time in this modern era, many people in wealthy nations experienced a kind of uncertainty over basic necessities that could not be resolved in the usual transactions of labor and currency. This was to foreshadow the coming global catastrophic crises. Fast forward to today. And here's the poem. My dearest Florine, I'm about to give up words. Yes, I kid you not. I know. We've had so many of them, you and I, over different things, words, opinions, aspirations, and even a few inspirations. Just think of all the cocktails they've inspired. I'm blushing. Oh, yes, rosé, just to think. Well, maybe where you are, but here. And there are ellipses in this to indicate that, that correspondence has been issued between the two, and you are only privy to one side of the conversation. I've had enough of all this talking, where people say nothing. You would not believe this thing we share now called social media. You don't even have to go out or get dressed. Imagine that. Well, don't love, not in that way. But imagine there is no place to go and make an entrance, see the drollness of the people. Everyone here talks at once but says absolutely nothing new. You'd think they'd invented language the way they go on and on. And the men, my dear, they would drive you wild and also exacerbate you. They still take all the jobs, have all the authority, debate us over, well, everything, even our bodies. 100 full years later, and things are still the same, except for the whining, which is now frowned upon, especially at lunch. The civilization is not really much of one, I'm afraid. And yes, my dear, I am afraid for you and me and what may come between us. Thank you very much.
Wanda will offer her poem Abstract in Blue-Green and a painting Aqua Marine for this evening's program. Wanda and I often see each other at our Irondequoit Art Club casual weekly gatherings. I call it casual, at Bill Gray's every Thursday. And I was unaware of her lifelong love of poetry until I spoke to her on the phone and said, "Hi, I'm Jane Stetz. I'm the new vice president, and I was calling you." She goes, "I know you." You know me? How do you know me? I thought I'd be county jail, some sort of dog race down in Florida or whatever. She said, I'm the one that, she showed one of her paintings. I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed." I said, "I never knew your last name, so I do apologize." So this woman I have a good time with on Thursdays. Didn't know her last name, but it is my honor to have her come up and share her life with me and share her art with you.
Thank you. Okay, can anybody hear me? I don't, you can? Hey, I see some people I know here. Wow, from my other world. I have a poetry world and I have a visual art world, and it's great to see everybody coming together. I really appreciate the opportunity to have these things come together. The art club has been amazingly open to sharing creativity of all kinds, and I value that, and I really appreciate Nancy Jo and Jane for allowing us to come together like this. I was a poet, I still am a poet, but since about the age of 40, when as I told somebody tonight, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life to keep me out of my kids' hair, and I realized I needed some kind of a creative project. I had been writing poetry off and on since the age of 4. My mother put my poems together in a little blue booklet with gold letters on it. My mother wrote poetry, and she was always a great supporter of me, and my poems were about as bad as you can imagine they were, but she thought they were great. I also wrote poems when I was an adolescent and going through breakups and lost loves and all of that sort of thing, and those were also about as bad as you could imagine. But I decided I wanted to really do it seriously, so I went to Writers and Books and got into a seminar, and it opened up a whole new world for me. I did a lot of things that I never could have imagined me doing as a result of that. So I'm here to say, take a risk, do something, say yes to something that you don't think you're going to say you would ever do, and you never know the treasures that can come from that. Sort of like that when I started painting too, because when I retired, I thought, I can't draw. I know I'm not going to sit and do detailed painting work because I'm just not that kind of person. But I've had this almost lifelong appreciation of abstracts. I've been drawn to abstract painting and abstractions in nature. Notably, would go walking with my husband and my kids through the park, and they'd be far down the trail, and they'd look back, and I was staring at a tree trunk. I remember looking at the shadows of ivy on the wall, and I would just get transfixed by that. And in painting also, I found that I was drawn to abstract painting. It does something to me. To me, that's what art is about for me. It has to do something to me. And I can't explain that in words, and I can't really explain it visually either, but it's there. I've been spending a little bit of time in Moab in Utah, and I will tell you that those rocks do it to me. So when I'm writing a poem or making a painting, it has nothing to do with Moab, but I want to get that feeling. I'm trying to find that feeling, that place within myself. So as part of the poetry thing, I decided I wanted to have a conversation with poets and artists because I loved artists and I wanted to sort of find a way to get into that world. And I designed a program called Poetic Conversations. So we paired up artists and poets, and they would do a collaborative thing, each dyad. I had the amazing good fortune to be connected with Jim Mott. Some of you may know him. He is one of the really special people that I've ever met in my life. And we had a wonderful time. I was terribly intimidated at first because I knew his work, but it turned out really wonderfully. So where this is all going is that I wrote, as a part of that conversation, he's not an abstract artist, but he decided he wanted to do some abstract paintings. And so he did a few. And when I was looking at those, I really liked them. And I said, you should do more of this. And I decided, well, what would it be like if I wrote a poem that was abstract, like an abstract painting? So I've lost the poem here. So the painting I came up with is called Abstract with Bluegreen. Don't try to make it make sense, because you'll just be frustrated. Just let it sink in, respond to it or not. It's meant to be one long sentence with no breath. I can't read it like that, but I'll do my best. Abstract with blue-green. You are the color of patience. The scent of blue-green rises from your words. I have no explanation for the dreams of solitude that gather in the corners of your mouth. You are too transparent to be a body. No wind wears such whispery shoes. No shoes are necessary for such luminous feet. I see spun glass promises in the iris of your eye, which seems such a fragile house for all that iridescence. If I could touch your crystalline face, who would I be after such surrender? What unbearable thing would I learn about the illusory nature of snow? And when winter fell, would I still know the language that the air sings as you move? You are the color of patience, and the scent of blue-green rises from your words. I have too little understanding of rivers. So many rivers run through your hair. You are a body of snowmelt water where mountains peacefully float. I could submerge myself for hours, breathing through a hollow reed, watching speckled trout leap and swallow the small tide flies of your sorrows. So that was Thank you. It was fun writing it. One of the things that I really get in touch with when I'm writing poetry or painting is flow. And I have this intuition about a deep river inside me, and it's always flowing. When I can tap into it, that's when I go beyond myself. It's not me alone, it's me in consciousness with everything else in the world. It's not always, I don't always get there, but that's where it comes from. And I think in poetry and in my painting, I'm dealing with flow a lot, and I think it shows in this painting. This painting was not done necessarily with, I need to go back to Jim Mott. After I did the poem, he came up with a couple of blue-green abstract paintings that he did. So I didn't have any of that in mind. I was just playing around with color and flow when I did this. But I realize it's all connected to that experience too. So there's at least 10 or 15 years different time between the poem and the painting. And so that's been flowing in that river for that whole time, and it sort of came out again with this. What else can I say?
It really is
Yeah. I find that happens a lot in my painting. Yeah. I'll read another one from this book. This book is called Schrodinger's Cat. At a time in my life, I was trying to understand physics. Good luck with that. I got enough of it to really get a sense of it, but don't ask me to explain it to you. But Schrodinger's cat was a thought experiment by a guy named Schrodinger. And he had put an imaginary cat in a box, and there was something radioactive in the box. And the cat could die from the radioactive thing or not die from the radioactive thing. And somehow, if you looked at the cat in the box, it would determine whether it lived or died. Believe me, that's a very bad expression. If you're a scientist, you can help me out here. But the idea with that was that things exist both alive and dead at the same time, both here and gone at the same time. So this is called Schrodinger's cat. The spaces between, say, raindrops in the act of turning to snow are holy, holding as they do snow, rain, space, equally possible. How is it that you leave me yet again? Embrace is never. Contact's warm illusion disappears. Hands pass through memory as through smoke. My breath rises with the breath of trees and flies around the earth as wind. Say it falls to earth in rain, turning to snow. Say it falls upon your tongue as you laugh in the street, drops onto the tree outside your window. If I live in holy spaces, as between snow in the very act of turning to rain, I will say, distance is never. You, I, we are equally possible. I will say rise and fall are. I will say it in your voice. Thank you.
Pamela.
Got it.
It's an internationally recognized, award-winning haiku, tanka, and Haga artist.
I don't know what that means.
I saw it on TV, so I thought I'd pronounce it. She loves sumi paint, writing Japanese calligraphy, abstract painting, making jewelry, sculpting, and assembly of collage. Pamela is the founder and editor of Moonbaby, a journal of women's tanka, the first all-women's international tanka journal, and recently, The Art of Tanka. Her tanka collections are 1,000 Reasons, a
Solitary woman.
her collections are 1,000 Reasons, a solitary woman, and the pages from a tanka diary. I want to welcome so much this beautiful lady that makes me laugh and does great things.
But that's okay. Can you hear me okay?
How'd I do your first name?
All right.
Pamela.
I did not bring a painting tonight, but I brought a sculpture that I did. It's a woman who was pregnant, and that's her unborn child. Did you want to show it? And from that, I wrote a tanka, and I'll explain what tanka is in a second. This is one that was published with the sculpture, and then it's then called a haiga, which you incorporate either a photograph or a painting with a haiku or a tanka. And it goes, my heart's deepest wounds are hidden in the womb of my unborn child. I'll read it twice. My heart's deepest wounds are hidden in the womb of my unborn child. You've probably heard of haiku. A lot of people are not familiar with tanka. Tanka originally was called waka, W-A-K-A. It's about 1,200 years old, was written in Japan. It was a lyrical type poem that was actually sung, and it was to be written about love, longing, loss, and somewhat autobiographical. And then out of waka, some haiku poet, ancient poet, says, why don't we take the first 3 lines and write hoku, which then turned into haiku. Originally in Japan, waka was written with the Japanese anji sounds, which are different than our syllables. I do not know how to translate, and I don't know the difference, but originally it was written 57577 Japanese anji sound units. So it really should not be written in English 57577, although there are people that do write that way. Same thing with haiku, they'll write 575, but it really should be more succinct. So it was a poetry form I became involved in around 1995. I started writing haiku because I picked up a book at the library called Poet Market. And in the back of the book it said haiku, and for some reason it triggered like maybe I had written this, and then I found out, I connected actually with my third grade teacher, and she taught us that back at 39 School Haiku. Okay, I'm sure we wrote it 575. So anyway, I'd like to read from my book. I did bring some books. If anyone does want to purchase them, you can. If you don't want to, that's okay too. But I'm going to be reading from my latest book, pages from a Tonka diary. And most of my Tonka are quite autobiographical or just from my vivid imagination. Does anybody have any questions before I start? Can you hear me okay? Yes.
My great-granddaughter was crazy about Japanese. I'm writing this down. Which word did you say is the long, did you say longing, loss?
Longing. You mean how people wrote Tonka? I do have some things about Tonka over there, and I can also give you some resources afterwards, okay? This book is divided into, I think, 7 or 8 different chapters. And I do not follow a set pattern. I kind of write like a free verse type Tonka, and I try to say a short story very succinctly within 5 lines. Dewdrops or raindrops, is it of any consequence? At the end of existence, we all evaporate. Same cafe, same table and chair, same apartment with the same color walls that need painting. If I survive cancer, why not heartache? Placing the whitest feather upon my soul. A lifetime of unfertilized eggs, invisible scars now visible from my exposed ovaries. I survived ovarian cancer. It'll be 15 years, April 15th. So I can be here to harass people. Matisse paper cut collages blend seamlessly how we try to piece together our brokenness. Forgiveness is a gift like love, cleansing mud from a lotus. I am purified. Not knowing how to swim, I plunge into the deep sea of self-forgiveness. Mother's Day, I visit her garden, sit in silence and await her reassuring voice within my breath. Never alone, stillness surrounds me until I become a prayer. Yes.
Process. So when you write these,
Yes.
are they much longer and you take a scalpel to them, or how do you?
When I write and I rewrite and rewrite until I've honed it down. Excuse me, until I think I've gotten something that is powerful and will, excuse me, I'm just going to put a cough, that will resonate with other people, to move them emotionally. I don't want someone to read something and say, So what? Who cares? Forget about it. You know, so did I answer your question? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does an idea and words just come to you sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes while you're grocery shopping? I mean, does it, or do you sit down and contemplate and plan?
No,
write
I don't plan. Sometimes I'll just look at a word and it'll prompt me to write something. Or I'll see a painting and it'll motivate me to write something. I used to go out for coffee every day and bring a notebook, and I still write by hand sometimes, and then, but I will write it and write. Very seldom will I write something once and like it. I'm very critical of what I write. Now, did I answer your question? Okay. Distant light from a waxing moon, I enter divinity with grace. Midnight swim, galaxies glide over my body, star by star. Among the moon-white stars, a black one. Which color star has my mother landed upon? Blue lotus, plucking its petals one by one, I lie down in a bed of cloudless sky.
You've got time for two more.
2 more? That's it? I've been up here 15 minutes already? Really?
Then we'll go out for coffee.
So close to falling, so close to love, I remain silent. Eucharistic moon among immaculate stars, 2 bodies overlapping like a sacrament. Thank you.
And I'm very, very pleased to introduce Mr. David James Delaney. Come on out. David James Delaney told me he's been an auto worker, editor, journalist, teacher, painter, poetry writer, husband and father, and more recently, and more important to him than anything else, he's been to nearly every college in Greater Rochester, earned a scholarship to the University of London in England, not London, New York, London, England. He was the winner and or finalist in several writing contests, nationally and internationally. One of David's most recent portraits is now displayed in the Irish Embassy in Ottawa, Canada. His first book is out now, The Book of Delaney. And another book is planned for later this year, short stories, etc. Oh, and Delaney was the athletic jock at East Ridge High School.
East High.
We graduated the same year, but not from the same school. High school. He loves animals and most humans. He also loves golf.
On occasion.
And walking the courses, or watching on TV, whichever happens to be with the golf. David's favorite show is All Creatures Great and Small.
Yeah.
Please welcome David James Delaney.
Thank you, Jane. Yes. Thank you, and thank you, IAC, for taking this opportunity to put different concepts together. How far they are apart is another question. But to say painting and poetry is all in the same universe is absolutely true, and it's in this room. I've seen some of your paintings at Christmas time, bought a pair of mittens at Christmas time, and have enjoyed Enjoyed the ambiance that you guys present. I'll try not to bore you too much with a couple of things. But thoughts on poetry and painting. It all seems to me, all thinking is metaphorical. Good job. I like your haikus. You're very nice. Tonka, I'm sorry. Close.
No, not even.
Almost, not even close. So when one sees a word like cow or shoe, one can see that word. So the equation, as in a metaphor, is image, connected to something different. In this case, shoe image becomes shoe word. Then you spin the Rolodesk of your brain, and another shoe comes up, women's shoes, men's shoes, sandals, but they all become connected. The main thing is there's a connection. And that's what poetry is, and painting too. I want to quote a guy that's kind of interesting here, if I can find him. Let's see, a somewhat obscure yet revered writer, artist, almost the Tim Burton guy. He's the guy that did the illustrations for the beginnings of Masterpiece Theater. Edward Gorey. And here's his comment on art. The theory that anything is art is presumably about some certain thing, but it is really always about something else. So that's why you get this metaphor as one thing. And then the rivers that flow out through us, as Wanda said, is something else. But we're able, if we know the words and the visions, to make the connections. That's enough of that. This is my painting here. I do believe it came I think the poem came after. And for those who have not had the pleasure to be in the worst place on earth that you must ever go to Krakow and then to Auschwitz. I had that tragic experience, but I wouldn't trade it for anything this summer, this last year. And this painting was done before that. This man, I saw his image on the internet, one of millions, right? And I thought to myself, here's this guy, maybe in his late 30s or, whatever. And here's all we have of him. I said, that's not enough. That's just not enough. It's not enough. This poem is called, here's the Book of Delaney. Of course, you're all anxious to see that. And has my paintings on the front. And it's a damn fine book. The poem is called I Am Not, number 26389. Is it true? To some of you, I'm just a number, or forgotten, a grainy thought. Black smoke, those I know. And me? No food, no socks, no laces. These wooden shoes I wear are not mine. They were someone else's yesterday. They fill with snow. They cut deep. I curl my frozen toes to hold them on. If one comes off in this never-ending work, the never-ending miles of slush, I will die. Yes, to be in someone else's shoes, but no, they never fit. You must know my steps. You see, I hear them again. and I know you hear them too. A whisper starts, a laugh, a shove. Speak out before it's too late. Before it's too late for you to strike or beg please. Act before the beast breathes easy and flings infants by their heels. Oh, my children, my everything, tie your shoes tight. Like you, like hope, when we must fall, we must always fall forward. I am Solomon Honig. Never again. 26,389. Did it? And let's see if I have a couple other minutes. Do you want something a little? Am I finished, Jane, or do I have time? No, I won't throw you out. Well, wait a minute. Okay. Here's a rather, let's see if I can find the right page. I didn't expect to read to. In this little book, with this tiny little illustration, it's a painting. The painting of a woman sitting out by herself in World War II England during the Blitz. So most of you are familiar, I'm sure. And she's in a factory. And off to the side, on this side, the painting is almost split in half, is the Prussian blue and the orange that's coming, because munitions places were bombed heavily, and the Germans, and play on Prussian blue, of course. Thank you.
We don't have a zoom on our camera, so.
Oh, that's okay. I don't have a zoom on my life. Thank you. All right. Sheffield, England, which was a big munitions place in England, during the Blitz. For the munitions girl polishing cannon shell casings. A painting. I don't know why he chose me for this. I'm no Madonna, no Mona Lisa. The painting is well enough, though. I suppose except for oiliness, I taste. Can't paint loudness. But I do feel the brasswork in his brush, the highlights, the pink of me. But Jesus, must I be that dull? And why set me out here all alone? By now I can tell where he's going. He moves above me. He's gentle, he is. Not like those shells lined up behind, quivering like greyhounds waiting their turn. Outside he paints it getting dark. Soon the wail, the sirens, orange hits, Prussian blue smokes, blends in distance. There's madness in his eyes. Yet he paints me quiet. Want to know what I think of that? My Jimmy's somewhere over there. Paint my Jimmy with his balls blown off, his legs shredded crimson red, gone. Surely you're good enough to paint that. Any questions? Nothing? Okay. Thank you.
I had no idea that all of us would be as deeply moved as we are tonight, but definitely are.
Thank you.
And, I don't know, think about this in future days, I'm sure. Thank you very much, David. MCC and Empire State College with concentration and study of her work includes acrylic painting and linoleum reduction painting. Nancy Jo has already written 2 books of poetry and is working on her 3rd. And as Nancy Jo comes up here, I want to point out that these fabulously tantalizing wordsmiths have their artworks on the table here, and for book signing and for purchase. And so I hope you guys support them as much as they supported us this evening. So thank you.
This is my painting. It has a little bit of humor in it. This is this is my painting. This is an osprey. An osprey specializes in catching fish, and he's got his eye on that fish. An earring / lure. So that's my painting. Where should I stand? Okay. This is from one of my books. The Konkan Dowager. When winter's cold first threatens here, and shorebirds migrate through, I look ahead at pending days and wonder what to do. The dowager it passes by, as do the terns and plovers. They make their way down to a land that's perfect for sun lovers. They leave the north and go to stay where conch and coral thrive, where sky and sea are blue as blue and cocktails are at 5. They are so dumb, it's said of birds. Their brains, they are so tiny, but they are where it's nice and warm, while I still freeze my hiney. So who is smart and who has sense? I ask myself this every day as I look at a dingy world with sky and pavement gray as gray. Nuthatch. The nuthatch is an acrobat whose visits are vacation from routine and from normalcy and all of life's mundations. Unlike the woodpeckers, the nuthatch climbs down trees while searching for a cache of food left by some chickadees. This means it travels upside down and keeps its tail side up, but all the contents don't spill out. It is no coffee cup. The rules of gravity apply but seem to be defied. The nuthatch walks along a branch upon the underside. Some birds are right side uppity. It makes them feel uptight just knowing that the nuthatch walks in ways not upside right. The nuthatch sees things downside up. Its worldview takes a knock from other birds who cannot see this birdie for the flock. To view the world like every man means having vision flat. To see side up and upside down makes one an acrobat. Last one. I take lessons in speech at Nazareth, and I had an clinician do this in rap. But I'll not do it in rap, but ring-billed gull. The ring-billed gull ain't dignified. His favorite food, it is deep fried. He hangs out at your fast food stop and beg for tidbits that you drop. A thief he is, a French fry whiz, a bird who knows the scrounging biz. Tell him to leave, to go away, to find a beach where he can stay. He shouldn't live at Burger King. He'd kill you for an onion ring. This isn't right. He should retreat back to the food that's his to eat. Why is the fry the seagull's dish when he can always have dead fish?